Hey everyone, this is Hayden with the Hill Pursuit podcast. In today's episode 64 of the show, this is a recap of the recent Ohio 70.3 half Ironman race. Um, Throughout the show, we discuss everything from start of race morning and weather conditions the whole way through swim, bike, run, all transitions, and um, any and every encounter, whether it was easy or difficult or things that made the course hard, challenging, any and everything in between. Fully discuss everything and race performance and all the details of the day. So, if you're someone who raced or just looking to get a little bit of insight to the Ohio 70.3 race that was this past weekend, really hope you enjoy the show. This is episode 64 of the show. If you'd like to catch any of the other episodes, you can do so on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, Google, anywhere you get your podcasts. On our website, hillpursuit.com, we have a link to this and all other shows, so please check that out. Follow us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram at Hill Pursuit. And if you'd like to send us a message, give us some feedback, please do so, hillpursuit@gmail.com. That's all we have for right now. Again, this is episode 64, Ohio 70.3 race recap. We hope you enjoy the show. What's up, man? How we doing?
Good, bro. How are you feeling?
Good. A little funky. I was just telling you,
Yeah,
before we started, but yeah, I just came from a little bit of a workout. Not really a workout, more like in the gym, just like moving around. Still, a few days post, so less of a workout and more of a lights kind of in my face. More of just like a move around session, but felt really good. And then finished and just kind of felt funky. So I'm good though. I don't know if I just tired, I guess, need to chill a little bit, but yeah, what's up with you?
yeah. No, I actually got home from work a little bit early today, so I have a change for me.
Yeah.
Um, and so I haven't trained yet today. Going to in this afternoon. I did a double yesterday. I ended up. Let me move here. I think I get a bag layer here. Kind of doing that at a different spot today. So I did a 1.5-mile sled drag yesterday with the prowler plus 50 added onto it.
Nice.
And the goal of that is just to keep moving. And then I ended up going to jiu-jitsu last night and, get a little warm up in, do a little drilling. And then I think I finished off with 5 bouts for 5 minutes back to back. So that felt pretty good. So yeah, today's a weight room session. I want to get back on the mat tomorrow night. I got something going on, and I don't think I'm going to get there. I don't know if I'll get there till next Thursday, which really stinks. I like to at least get one in a week, if not 2 or 3. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, so you've been what, 2 or 3 rolling around for 2 or 3 sessions?
Pretty two, you know. 2 per
Yeah.
week.
Well, for me right now, I'm just kind of taking the week super random, a little light. I didn't do anything. Geez, what's today? Wednesday? I didn't do anything Monday. Obviously, we traveled back from the race and it was one day post race, so I didn't do anything. Yesterday, I lifted and I actually had a very good lifting session yesterday. I was shocked. I felt incredible.
Yeah.
And today, I was planning to jog, but I'm giving my ankle, we'll get into that, but I'm giving my ankle another day. I rolled it a little bit in the race. It doesn't hurt, but I just wanted to give it another day. So I'm going to do a super slow jog probably tomorrow. But quick turnaround because I got some other stuff coming up here. But I guess before we get into a race recap, do you have anything coming up? Because I have stuff coming up, but what do you have coming up in terms of training? What are you working towards right this moment? And if it's nothing, that's fine too. What's going on?
Also, trying to get on. I'm trying to roll as much as I can right now. I'm lifting. That's lifting conditioning. That's kind of
Yeah.
that is what it is. That's not going to go anywhere. And I'm trying to get it on the mat as much as I can. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I definitely have the bug for jujitsu. I kind of dabbled in it here for a long time, or for a bit, and then I never got into it for a while. And I kind of want to get into it, keep it as part of my life for here on out. So
Sweet. Before we know it, we'll be talking about your jujitsu matches, maybe transitioning into mixed martial arts.
yeah, yeah, we'll see about that. I can't quit my day job, that's for sure.
Oh, that'd be something though. That's cool. Anyways, yeah, I want to dive into a little bit of a race recap.
Let's do it.
Um, yeah. So Sunday, Ohio 70.3. For myself, I had, big expectations, not just in terms of performance. Like I was feeling really good. I was hoping to, PR the entire, my 70.3 time, which, hindsight may have been a lofty goal because I just PR'd my 70.3 earlier this season. So to do it again, maybe a little bit of a lofty goal, but it was reasonable. I think it was reasonable. I still do think it was reasonable. The PR for the 70.3 did not happen, but I'm still really, really proud of the finish. And I guess we'll kind of get into that. But so, anyways, the race morning, Sunday morning, there were really, really bad thunderstorms around like 2:33, 3:30 ish into 4 a.m. And the transition area was set to open at 4 a.m. So athletes would be arriving at 4. Transition closed around 5:30. Swim starts at 6 a.m. Um, they delayed everything by 30 minutes. So, transition opened at 4:30. Athletes still woke up normally because the delay didn't get set into full effect until later in the morning. So, I was up at 2:30 like I had planned, which is crazy early. Um, but with the storm at like I woke up at 2:30 and I was planning to wake up around 3, but it was storming and, the second that you wake up and you're close to the alarm going off, you just kind of stay awake.
Yeah,
So,
going back.
yeah, so I was just up and started fueling and doing my race morning stuff, no different than I've done in the past. So I was just kind of getting set. Um, got everything ready. The couple guys I was with, we just kind of decided to show up the same time anyways to make sure we had the parking spot that we wanted. So when we parked, we just kind of chilled and we're talking about the day, whatever. The rain stopped around like 4:20, 4:30. So we walked over and started getting settled. Race started, race start was set for 6:30 instead of 6 now. So I think we got to transition around 4:45. Nothing crazy. Check the, check the air in our tires. Set up our transition area, make sure our towels are set, shoes are set up, everything we need, sunglasses, fuel. Geez, I used goo octane gels and salt tabs and whatever else. I think that's really, it's not much to do in transition except make sure your bike is good to go and you have your cycling shoes and your sneakers set out and ready, you know. So that doesn't really take too long, you go over things in your head a few times, so about 20 minutes and you're good to go, you know. So we were set by about 5 after, maybe 10 after 5, expecting to be called over into like the corral to start around 5:30. If it were a 6 o'clock race, since it was 6:30, we expected similar time, maybe like 5:45, not a full half hour delayed, and we were pretty much right. 5:45, they started to say, so about we had a half hour of like downtime, just kind of walking around, walking through steps in our head, making sure everybody's good. 5:45. Well, let me back up. Super early in the morning, they announced the water temperature was 79, so no wetsuits.
No wetsuit. No
No
wetsuit.
wetsuit.
I was wondering how that went because I knew that was a debate.
Yeah, no wetsuit, and that was no surprise to me because I'd been out there for a few weeks, and
Mm.
it had been like in the 80s. So I knew that if they found a temp that was wetsuit legal, they would have been going to the depths of that lake to find it, and they didn't. So they actually adhered to the rules and standard, and no wetsuit. So I was not surprised. I think it messed with a lot of people. We'll get into that, but I was ready for it. And so 5:45, they started asking people to get in line. And then 6 o'clock, they started filtering us towards the front of the boat because we jumped off of a boat for the swim start, which was pretty cool. It was unique, a little different. The the boat has like um, the bottom of the boat has an area that cars can drive onto to kind of like be transported across to an island. So we were kind of just like corralled in there into like the car area, I guess. And eventually just kind of stepped off. There was like 10 inches between um, the the back of the boat and the water, so it wasn't like a big jump or anything. And the boat was docked, so they didn't like take us out and drop us. The boat was docked, and every 5 seconds they had athletes jumping into the water. It was pretty cool. It worked. It actually ended up working out. It seemed to go off without a hitch. I went pretty darn early in the race. I didn't notice or see anything or hear anything after about that going wrong.
Mm.
So I was kind of wrong in that sense. I anticipated people freaking out. I do still assume that people towards the back were uncomfortable with that, but I didn't hear any horror stories. I didn't see anything online or anything. So to my knowledge, everything went okay, I guess. But the swim starts as soon as you touch the water, you're like, dang, this is warm water. You know, like it was not cold at all. It was really warm. The idea of the swim being like in a protected channel, everybody kind of assumed it would be like a relatively simple swim. Um, we went out straight for about 300 yards, maybe, and then turned left. And when we turned left, we were into the current for 70% of the swim. And the swim was long. I'm sure you were probably following my stuff, but without a wetsuit, I expected my swim to be like 40, 41, 42, somewhere in there minutes. With the wetsuit, I swam earlier this year, 1.2 mile. I swam in like 38. So without a wetsuit, I expected low 40s, a couple minutes slower, no buoyancy, less buoyancy, right? So no surprise there, whatever. Let's swim low 40s if we can. Looked at my watch when I got out of the water and it was like 49 minutes. And I was shocked because I was telling myself in the water, I was like kind of surprising myself. I was like, I'm swimming really strong. Like I'm controlled. I'm not breaststroking like at all. I was swimming strong and I wasn't like overdoing it. I felt really confident with my swim. So I get out of the water, and like I said, you make that first left turn and you're against the current the whole time. So obviously that's where people lost time, and there's no wetsuit. So people were like complaining afterward, like, wow, what the heck was wrong with that swim? It's like, take a second and think about the logistics here. We were against the current for the majority of that swim. So, people were a little upset or surprised their swim times, but if you really took a minute to think about it, it's no surprise that they were that much slower. Um, I heard some coaches mention that their athletes were between like 7 and 11 minutes slower than expected. Um, and that's actually right where I fell in. I expected low 40s and I was 49, so I was right there. It was just it was a harder swim than anticipated. Um, and to say that the swim, I'm going to get into the bike here, to say that the swim did not affect my bike would be absolutely ignorant of me to say. But when I got on the bike, and I'll backtrack in a second here. When I got on the bike, I felt like I just didn't have the bike at all. Just didn't have it. For whatever reason, I just was not anywhere near my power numbers on the bike. And it was really strange because that's by far my strongest of the three disciplines.
Mhm.
I was expecting to really put up like an awesome bike split. So to get on the bike and 5, 10, 15 miles go by, and I'm like, when is this gonna like kick in? When am I gonna feel it? Like when am I gonna get into a groove? And I just never got into it. So for me to say that the swim didn't affect my bike would be stupid. Of course everything, snowballs into the next discipline. I felt like back to the swim. I felt like I stayed disciplined in the swim and swam strong. But I think the difficulty of the swim maybe was a little bit too much, and I could have pulled back even more. Who knows? But yeah, for whatever reason, I just did not have it on the bike. But anyway, I'll back up. Get out of the water. A decent little trot to get to transition area, and I'm feeling good. Like I've come out of the water before, and felt significantly worse. So in my head, I'm like, all right, swim was not the number is not what I anticipated, but what can you do now? Get on the bike and finish out the rest of the day. You still got a huge day ahead of you. Like, who cares if your swim didn't exactly hit the numbers, right? So the trot to transition wasn't too bad. And it was all like macadam asphalt, so it's pretty quick to get into transition. One of my goals was to make the transitions as fast as possible. And in transition one, I did that, and I was really pleased. I was like 3:30, as opposed to like 5:30, which I was last time. So big improvement in T1. Um, but one of the reasons um, I improved in T1 was because I didn't take any nutrition in T1. I just put it all in my kit and got on the bike as fast as I could. And I think that was a big reason, a big improvement in terms of my T1 time. But anyway, so you get on the bike, and there's about 5 miles of like navigating through downtown before you really get out onto the country roads. So those first 5 miles, you can't really lay down the power. You just have to like quick left turn, quick right turn. You can't really go too fast because you're in downtown. There's different streets and traffic. So it took a while to really get onto some open country roads. But when I did, I started trying to hit my power numbers, and I'm hitting them for a little bit, maybe around 10 miles. I'm hitting my stuff. I'm close to where I want to be. And then by mile 15, I'm realizing I'm putting forward too much effort to hit these numbers. And I'm in my head real quick, I'm like, I can't put this effort forward for the next 40 miles and still run this half marathon. So it was, I got humbled real quick in the bike because it was about 15 miles in where I realized it wasn't gonna be my day on the bike. That was a hard pill to swallow, honestly, because I wanted the bike so bad to be a really good split for me, and then attempt to put together a solid run. So, I'm dealing with first of all, the fact that I'm not going to be able to hit my numbers, but then also the mental aspect of, well, I just had a slower swim. I'm about to have a slow bike. What the heck am I going to be able to put together on the run? Like it's just like a myriad of everything just kind of bringing me down a little bit. But it kind of is what it is. And this is the whole reason why you can't just assume you're going to put together a number or a time at any given race. Every race is different. Every single race is different. This swim was the hardest swim I've ever had in a race, being against the current as long as it was, by far the hardest, and no wetsuit. The bike wasn't the hardest bike I've ever done on this course because I rode this course 3 times prior, which was super beneficial, but it wasn't the hardest time I've ridden the course, but it was still a hard race course. Like the wind was still pretty bad. But I've experienced tougher wind on that course before. So I was ready for the conditions of that course. You know what I mean? Like, but every race is different. I didn't have those difficulties at Eagleman earlier this year. The ride was relatively, wind free. The swim was super easy, and the run at Eagleman was also kind of cake. Like it was ideal for me to PR at Eagleman, which I did, and it was not ideal to PR this past weekend. So, you get on the bike and you have the challenge of the wind and fatigue I'm carrying from the swim, and then pair that with not hitting my numbers and just being a little discouraged. I was just like pissed off on the bike. Even more so to get to grind my gears, no pun intended, on the bike. I got to the last aid station around mile 40. And at every aid station, they have water, Gatorade, whatever else. But they're just holding it out with their hand. And, you're coming in, you slow down on your bike, but nobody stops. You don't stop at the aid station. You just slow down so you can grab something from them. For me, I always grab a water. I fill up my Aero water bottle right between my hands with water, and then I ditch the water bottle, keep moving on. This was the last aid station, mile 40. I see the sign that says aid station approaching. So I bend down into my Aero water bottle, and I chug the rest of the water because I want to fill it so I have more for the rest of the race. So I'm officially out of water heading into this last aid station. And the volunteers are holding out water bottles. What do you think happens to me when I get to this aid station and need a water bottle?
They run out?
Nope, they didn't run out. I missed 6 water bottles in a row. They were there's volunteers like every 15 yards or whatever, like this massively long aid station. And they're holding stuff for people because athletes are going to filter in at different spots, and someone might miss the first one and grab the second, or miss the second, whatever. I missed all 6.
How does that happen?
So it's hard to explain how or why this happens. I'm not 100% sure, but in my opinion, the aid station was slightly poorly placed, maybe not the worst in the world, in that it was at the bottom of a small hill, not a big hill, right? Still no excuse, but at the bottom of a small downhill where every athlete's coming in a little bit faster than they probably should be. I realized this after I missed the first one, and I tried to slow down, but I still have my hand out to grab the second one. So I missed the second one, and then I was like, dude, put your hands back on the brakes and slow down. So then I missed the third because I'm trying to slow down. Put my hand up too late for the fourth. And then the fifth one, I'm just annoyed that I missed this many. I'm shaking my head, not at the volunteers, but at myself for screwing up, right? And I missed the fifth because I wasn't focusing. And the last guy is like, yo, I got you, man. I got you, man. And we just didn't sync up, and I missed it. and I was so annoyed. You know, in theory, I guess. Oh my god, I'm getting annoyed talking about it. In theory, I guess I could have pulled over and gotten off and walked back to get the water if I was that desperate. And I
So
probably was. I probably was that desperate.
so long story short, you ain't no wide receiver, dog.
Yeah, I had bad hands. Bad hands. Um, so yeah, whatever factors made that happen, whatever it happened is my fault. It's not anybody else's fault. It's my fault. But someone came up behind me. So to get off would be almost a little bit more dangerous because there's other athletes that are still riding. So you have to keep moving. So I kept moving and it crossed my mind to stop, but then there were enough people around me and someone came up next to me and was like, dang dude, that sucks. Why'd they and I kind of felt the same way, like, yeah, that sucks. Why'd they put the aid station at the bottom of that little decline? It is what it is. Doesn't matter. Um, I still missed all the waters. So now I'm dealing with that. I have no water for 16 more miles. I still have my supplement, like my carb supplement in my water bottle, but I was just like craving a cold water. So now I have that that's annoying me as well. And I got 16 more miles of this. So honestly, I just chilled. I just was like, you know what? This bike was just not meant to be for me. So I just kind of coasted for the rest of that 16 miles, another whatever that would have been 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes, whatever. I just kind of coasted. I ended up averaging a decent pace, but not even close to my power numbers. So I could have had a great bike split um, that day. It just wasn't in me. So, I tried to preserve as much energy as I could heading into the run because I did not want to bonk on the run.
Yeah.
I got into transition two like so annoyed, and I literally was like, I don't even care how long I'm in this transition area. It's going to be whatever it is. Um, so I did the same thing, quick, kind of quick, but I was also just kind of gathering myself and just pissed off.
Hmm.
Got my shoes on and I had to start slow because I knew I missed my fuel, an hour ago and I was going to be hurting for a little bit. So started slow around like a 10-minute pace. Um, I saw my family a bunch on the run course
Nice.
and, I didn't lie to them. They're like, how you doing? You doing okay? And the first 4 or 5 miles, anytime I saw my family, I was like, not good. I'm not good. I'm trying to save it right now. I was not feeling good at all. Um, of course, I was discouraged, but there's not just the mental aspect. Physiologically, I was also not good. Like I expended a lot of energy on the bike that I did not think I was. I did not think I was going to be feeling like that. So I wasn't good. So now my family's like freaking out. Like, is he going to be okay? Like, what's happening? Um, Thankfully, after 4 or 5 miles, trotting around a 10, 10, 15 pace, I ended up kind of recovering. I got fuel at the aid stations. I kind of fell into a groove and I really finished the last 8 miles like not strong, don't get me wrong, but strong for the day.
Yeah.
And I was really, really proud of like the last 7 to 8 miles of that run. Because everyone was walking. Everyone. I almost couldn't believe that everyone was walking. I didn't walk once on the run except for at the aid stations for about 30 seconds to just make sure that I was getting water, Gatorade, whatever I needed, and ice. Um, so I ended up trotting the half marathon at about like a 9:50 pace. And with the walking of the aid stations, it came out to like 10:15 overall, something like that.
Dang.
Not my best at all, right? But um, I was really proud of how I pulled it together and didn't have to like walk the half marathon, So actually ended up being pretty proud of my finish, and I realized that I would have to end up averaging like 10 or so um, to break the 6 hour mark. and I ended up doing that. I was like 5:58, so I was thrilled with that. That's a nice little milestone, nice little mark to break, even, especially on a tough day. And
Mhm.
it was exactly that. It was a really tough day, not just for me, but for everyone. Since then, I've seen comments and posts and some discussion about some things related to the race. Everyone had slow swims, right? So I wasn't alone. Everyone had slow swims, like 10, 15 minutes slower than they expected. Um, there were a lot of people who quit during the swim. Apparently, at one point, there were like 3 or 4 rescue boats out, and they were all full of people who quit or needed rescued, which is kind of scary, actually. So, thankfully, I haven't heard any like really bad stories. But it was a really hard swim, and honestly, people don't prepare enough for open water swimming. So I'm really thankful that I did prepare enough.
Yeah.
Um, the bike, I didn't really hear much about the bike aside from people complaining about the wind. But like I said, it was windy, but it wasn't horribly windy. So um, bike course was pretty standard for what I was expecting. And then the run was just brutally hot, like brutally hot and humid. And, same kind of thing with EMS, putting people in clumps and just trying to service a bunch of people all at the same time, and dangerous, um, to avoid dangerous cardiac events, I guess. And it was just it was a hard day across the board. And 5:58 is not my best. Of course, I had something way better in my mind, but you can't do that with a race. Like, every race is different, every day is different. And it turned out to be a really hard day, and probably the most proud finish that I have because of how difficult the day actually was. So, I mean, that's basically my summary of the day. Um, and with that, I guess the triathlon season is over for me. But yeah,
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that that's anything anyone can show. If you put the work in and the time, anyone can show up like on an easy day, or most can. That obviously it still takes some level of mental toughness, but when obviously when the environment changes or stuff starts to get a little bit abnormal or not like a normal training environment, I think it can freak someone out, and it
yeah,
takes. I think experience helps that. Um, Obviously, if you trained hard, that obviously helps. Um, and I think there's at some point, it's just, I think it's accepting it and just moving the hell on.
yep. And
Hmm.
yeah, there were definitely mental battles that I had, probably more than physical, that
Yeah,
that day. And I was proud to have dealt with those and kept moving, and ended up putting together actually a pretty decent race
yeah, right on.
relative to the field. I performed pretty well, and I was pretty proud of that. So
Yeah,
uh,
I checked your status, and when I seen your final, I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. I was proud of you. So that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, thanks, man.
Hmm.
So I don't know what next season holds, but I know that the rest of this season I'm focused on run.
Yeah,
Um, 8 weeks, I have a marathon, so I'm going to be pretty run heavy, with some lifting and some cycling thrown in, probably very, very little swim. So really run heavy, and hoping to put up some good times for that, some good training sessions, and a good race performance for that marathon. But that's all I got. You got anything else?
no, that was cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll
it's a fun
yeah,
race.
we're
It's
gonna it's in the past, and we're both gonna keep working. So
yeah, for sure. Fun race. It's back in Sandusky next year too, so the potential that I do it again is relatively high, but we'll see.
yeah,
So way too early to decide that. But anyways, if you listened along this long, thanks for listening. This was episode 64. This was Ohio 70.3 race recap. Follow us on all the social at Hill Pursuit. Website, hillpursuit.com. If you want to start a conversation, hillpursuit@gmail.com. Find us, like, follow, subscribe, all the things. YouTube channel as well if you're just listening through podcasts. And you can check out this and all other podcast episodes on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, Google, anywhere you get your podcasts. So again, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.